The Objective. To deliver the NBA to you like no other. News. Play breakdowns. Power rankings. Storylines you never hear talked about anywhere else. It's all straight shots here, fired by straight shooters. S and Gun. This is the Objective Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Objective Basketball Podcast. We're here in Las Vegas, here chilling, hanging out with Rusty Buck.
I didn't know if that was
Really?
they manually research.
Do you know what the reasoning behind that is?
Because that's how a lot of people talk about basketball, and it's annoying as hell. It's how
Exactly.
yeah.
Do you try to stay objective with your stuff, or are you?
I mean, it's the word objective is like a useful way of describing a way of looking at it that's like not actually truly.
Wow, that's this off.
It's like, you know, I can like realize I can take away my hatred for Dylan Brooks.
Right.
I'm like trying to actually analyze him as a player, and I still walk away thinking he sucks. But, you know, maybe like 10-15% less than I would if I was looking through the truly biased lens.
Right.
But like these days, if I don't like a player or I really like a player, it'll be the first thing I say. And I'm like, if you want to take what I have to say for granted because of that, go for it.
Yeah.
Especially anything regarding the Chicago Bulls. Although lately, I think it goes in the opposite direction, which is I'm probably more of a Bulls hater than anyone that's not a Bulls. Yeah.
Not that bad of a summer.
Depends on your perspective. If you want to do the being the 7th to 9th seed thing again, then yeah, they had a good summer. I think like if I had a list of top 10 most underrated free agents, Torrey Craig and Javon Carter would have been on that list.
Right.
Like those are guys that I think very highly of, especially in comparison to a lot of people. But I don't want to be the fucking 7th seed again. I don't know. If you curse on,
Yes, you
shit, I'm on it. Sorry.
Do you curse on your videos? You do, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I tried to stop.
Yeah.
I could. I'm not an animal. But after a while, I was like, my AdSense is not getting better. What's the fucking point? I feel like I'm taking a flavor out of my videos. There are a lot of people who appreciate that I talk like this. So
Yeah.
that, you know.
The unfiltered way is the way that gets.
Yeah, I think it connects with people. Yes, that's what's helped me.
Is this your first time in Vegas?
No.
Oh no, but you said second.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, this was an off-air conversation.
Right. You're right. Last year it sucked, and I was like, it was because we planned it poorly, right? We decided to come here towards the end rather than towards the beginning because we thought, oh, the championship game would be cool. No one did a shit about the Summer League championship. Everyone's out of town.
Right.
So we missed a lot of people that we wanted to meet. But this time around, I was like, okay, I'm never going to go again. But then Wemby. So I was like, okay, I'll go for Wemby. And then
You're lucky you didn't wait until the end with this one.
Right. Yes. That was very deliberate. This was by far one of the best trips of my entire life, though. So I'm probably going to make this an annual thing. I have a lot of content creators like Alex, who's behind the camera, and I'm
Very producer right now.
very, very good friends with. And it's like, yeah, I like basketball. I like that element of it too, but also like so many people that I respect and have been a fan of and followed on Twitter for a while.
Yeah.
I can finally actually meet in person. It's very, very cool.
You met me 20 minutes ago. Quick observations. No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree with you that Vegas is definitely one of those places, especially summer league wise. It just feels like a like Comic-Con in a lot of ways for NBA. You know, where I mean they had the NBA Con. Did you go to it? Did you go to it?
No, I did not. I was gonna go with someone who ended up not being able to go. Like, yeah, I was iffy on it. Because I was like, I feel like it'll be cool for about 30 minutes. And that's like, I spent $60 for 30 minutes of cool shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, damn, at 60.
there's a discount code you can get. I'm not promoting. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think the best part about it is what you mentioned, is being able to meet up with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's like this, sort of.
Yes. Everyone in the crowd's fucking a sicko, too.
Yeah.
Like, people who are, like, you hear people talk about, like, people's upside. You don't hear the word upside in a fucking
Yeah.
NBA game. Like you get a guy complaining about them not posting up,
or like his bet is
right.
in his bet.
Yeah, that happened a lot. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because often the time, as basketball sickos ourselves, I will, at least for me, I'll overhear someone in the crowd say some shit. I'm just like, this guy bothers me. But anytime I've overheard someone talking about basketball, I'm like, yeah, this guy gets it, at least to some degree.
What was the main takeaway you had from Summer League this year, or anybody that stood out to you?
I mean, there is a guy, I don't even remember what his name was, the point guard in the Wemby second game.
Oh, Arnold Hargott.
No. Who they play against again?
Now this is going to be such an awkward moment.
Blazers.
They played the Blazers.
Yeah.
They played the Blazers.
The Blazers point guard, the guy who I guess would have been backing up Scoop. Like, I think he had like 16 first half points.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't just like he was, hitting shots. It was like he's doing like veteran NBA moves right now to get these shots. And it's something that I could see being replicated over and over again.
Right.
Because some players just get hot, and it's not necessarily that they did that much impressive. You just have a hot night. But yeah, that guy stood out to me a lot. But of course, I was mostly here to see.
So, what was your reaction first seeing it?
Well, I didn't see the first game, so I didn't get the huge disappointment of it. The one like negative takeaway that I'll get is obviously he had a much better second game.
Yeah,
like he's got to be able to handle even a modicum of contact a little bit better than he does, because it seems like a guard runs into him and he's like flailing all over the court.
Right.
It's almost cartoonish how much he flailed around. I would think he was like trying to flop if I couldn't tell it was literally just because he wasn't strong.
Yeah.
It's not about the skinny thing as much as it is. You just can't be pushed around that easily.
I wonder if a lot of it is his height. We were talking about this, but like he's dribbling, and where his dribble is, like the highest point of it is where a 6'2" guard, 6'3", 6'4" guard would be. That's just an easy swipe of the ball. That's why there's so many turnovers. You know what I mean?
That's the one advantage like a guard would have on like in the post.
Yeah.
If you make a quick enough move, you could definitely get the ball from him. But overall, like I know from what I've learned about him as a prospect before, his mid-range game is particularly compelling, and he has some shots in that game where I was like, there's just nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
If he can shoot 50% from mid-range, no matter how contested or whatever the shot is, and that's going to be easy money for his entire career, because his release point is at the damn hoop.
Yeah.
Like there was a play where I think he got fouled on a mid-range jumper, and it went in, and like the guy smacked his elbow, and it's like that guy jumped like 8 feet, or like where his reach was like very, very high. Yeah. And he still couldn't get to it. Like, you have to essentially jump high enough to where you could like dunk a ball to block Wemby's shot.
Yeah.
Like if you can't dunk, you can't block a Wemby jump shot.
It's funny because he had that, like in the second game, he had that moment where he got a rebound and then off the rebound just immediately dunked it. I don't know if you saw that, but it just showed you just the sheer size of him compared to everybody else. And some of the Spurs players were like, we've never played with anybody who even remotely looks like this.
Yeah. I was a little annoyed with his teammates, frankly.
I agree. Yeah.
I think the summer league environment, obviously, it's not as polished as what professional NBA basketball looks like. So it's a lot of like kind of like rec league stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone here is like fighting for a contract. So sometimes selfishness just inherently comes into play, because it's like, look, I'm not going to make the best play for the team. I need to put up points so I get a contract.
Right.
And specifically like a rec, like just freelance offense kind of environment, that's like far more like the perimeter oriented thing. You don't really, not like running post ups or screening action and stuff like that. And I just felt like his teammates did not do a good job of finding him. And even with that, in 2.5 quarters, essentially, you got 27 points. Like, his offense, I think, is going to be fine. I think it might take a little bit longer than some people anticipated.
Yeah.
But I also think the other thing that really stood out, man, as soon as he's on the floor defensively, they don't take shots in the paint anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even an option to them anymore. Sometimes the offenses would do good just because they were hitting jump shots, but like the paint was not an option. And like he could probably jump into the NBA, and 3 weeks in, we're going to be calling him a top 10 defender in basketball. I think, and that's me being conservative, honestly.
I'm kind of curious to see how that looks with Chet, and I'll talk to Alex about that afterwards as well, because I know we'll definitely have our Chet conversation. But those two guys seem like they will have almost immediate impact defensively. And they're sort of similar in a lot of ways, but I think scrawny, a little skinny. Although I will say, I don't think Chet gets pushed off his block like Wemby.
No, I mean, I honestly think he did.
Yeah.
And when I saw him at Summer League last year,
True. Yeah.
And I felt like he had a lot of those moments where I was like, come on, man, that can't make you fall over. Right. But this time around, I saw like 2 games of his. He looked very, very, very good.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely
was there anybody else that stood out to you where you're like, well,
last year, I barely remember last year, to be honest.
It's a blur.
I might have been impaired for a lot of that trip,
Nice.
to be honest. Like,
okay, well, this is
80% of it. More like 40%.
Honestly, that is a part of this trip, though, for a lot of people. Like, you'll see it. I'm not going to name any names, but there are, like, players and media personalities and all those people that you see on the streets enjoying themselves. Yeah, having a good time. It's part of the lore of Vegas Summer League.
But like most people are friends with people that they have at least, if they don't work with, they at least have similar jobs.
Yeah.
All of my closest friends are basketball creators. So, like, it's an excuse for everybody that I like to be in the same city at the same time. And that happens to be fucking Las Vegas, which is a great place to have a party.
Yeah, exactly. Someone told me before, I was like, you can be anything you want to be in Las Vegas. And I'm like, man, that sounds scary. That is like, that's too much. I don't know if I can handle it.
I always default to the same guy when I present.
Go with that. Nice. Okay, I guess I'll say this. Anybody else you've seen, like, cool-wise, players?
Well, when I saw the one...
Did anybody, like, it's rare, but did you see anybody where you're like, whoa, like that?
Basketball players just, like, walking around, like, I don't think so. Like, I saw DeMar on the sideline. That's probably the coolest player that I saw. Apparently, Steph and Chris Paul were there when I wasn't there. And I was like, I would have liked to be in the same arena as Steph and Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people who likes both of those players.
Yeah.
Those fan bases are usually at each other's throat. Yes, but I got lost on my train of thought. Oh, yeah. We saw Christian Brown. And I was like, oh, holy shit, he's tall. He looks so small. I don't know. Yeah. And even I'm a tall person, but, like, I was, like, taken aback by how tall he was. And that's kind of a tangent, but I just
what we're here for.
I just kept thinking that because not Thomas and Mac, but if you go to the smaller court, like when you're walking in, you're on floor level with players. You get an idea of their height. And like, I'm 6'3", and like in my daily life, I'm taller than almost everybody that I encounter. Yeah. Unfortunately, my actual friend group is full of a bunch of awesome, extremely tall people. So it doesn't stand as much with them. But either way, I feel like a baby whenever I'm there. Like, I know it's like, wow, a 7-foot guy is really tall, but like you truly don't get a full respect for it. I've almost gained more of a respect for like the Isaiah Thomases of the world. Like, you're 5'7", you average 30.
I don't know if you got a chance to
monsters.
Yeah, exactly. The Marquise Noel game, I saw him, and I was
like 5'8",
he's 5, maybe 7. And he's
even maybe 7.
Yeah, like he's the first Raptor I've ever covered that is shorter than me, and that's saying a lot. I'm telling you guys right now. But like in general, he is probably up to like your chest, which is just and just
if I saw him, I'd be like, let me post up that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how guys like that get to this level. It's a testament to just like how incredible.
How is it not just inherent that you're going to be a massive defensive line?
Yeah,
it's that small. Like the best thing you can do is like, I guess you're so low to the ground, you can get like mess with ball handlers.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just sure it's like TV.
You can just wipe off. Yeah, we're watching currently the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Utah Jazz. Keontae George is cooking the brawler. Yes. I love Cox Pavilion. That is a much better experience to me, viewing wise, summer league wise, compared to Thomas and Mack. Thomas and Mack is just like, okay, you're in a regular NBA arena.
Yeah, whereas that feels like how nice.
Yeah, you're in like an AAU game. You know what I mean?
I only went there once though, just so I can talk to Carrie.
Yeah, nice.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's a little bit more intimate in person.
I'll ask you this, okay? because you are Chicago Bulls of the aficionado, if you will. Is that a good word?
That makes it sound like I'm enthusiastic.
That
I'm
is
actually grudgingly a Chicago.
So how do you feel, man? I know you know what you said you wanted to go on your soapbox. Go for it. You know what I mean?
I believe fairly strongly. I understand there are contexts in which it's not as simple as this, but I believe very strongly every NBA team, every franchise, the mark of a good front office, I need to feel like you genuinely have the interest of building a championship contender.
At some point.
Regardless of what stage you are in it,
Yeah.
it needs to feel like we are progressing in that direction. Sometimes you'll have setbacks, obviously,
Yeah.
but at least give me the impression your goal is we're going to try and be a championship team. Making your entire offseason signing 2 role players and re-signing Nikola Vucevic does not feel like we have a championship in mind to me.
Right.
Now, I personally don't believe, no matter what they did, there's not a championship in this roster as it exists right now. So, from my point of view, the only thing that would make me even remotely satisfied is if they would blow the team up. But at the same time, I also don't trust AK to do that.
Right.
And last time I was at Summer League, he was kind of a dick when I met him. So I'm hoping he loses his job and we would hire someone competent in the front office for the first time in forever. And since I have
ownership a part of it, though. Like,
yeah, it 100% is.
Yeah.
It's like they were like essentially Gar Pax were just like they were kind of held down by rights as far as I am aware. And like, I feel like even if I was an NBA owner, and obviously I know basketball more than I think Jerry Reinsdorf does, probably. Maybe we had a conversation and we'll find out, but I think I'd probably be pretty hostile, to be fair. But even feeling like I have a good grasp of it, if I hired a GM and I was the owner of a team, I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give them like an idea of what direction I want to go into. But, like, I'm not going to be like, make this specific trade, draft this specific player.
Right.
Because then you get a bunch of dumbass Michael Jordan-esque decisions happening.
I feel like
I'm pretty sure Vivek Ranadive does that.
he does. I mean, I feel like a lot of owners actually come in and they're like, let's get crazy. You know, Matt Ishbia in Phoenix.
I feel like if you can't hire a general manager his job is this. He's not a billionaire who just wanted to buy a basketball team. He's someone who went to college, spent years developing his skills to be a general manager in basketball.
Right.
Clearly knows more than you. And if you're going to hire him, I would hope you would have the confidence in hiring them to, like, believe that they can do it without just some fucking random guy who just happens to have a lot of money telling them what to do.
Yeah.
It's really dumb.
So I guess this is the last part. I'll ask Zach Levine. How do you feel overall moving forward with him as a player? I feel like we've had this discussion maybe once or twice on Twitter about, whether he is that guy that can potentially move you to that next part, like you said, the fraction of a championship. How do you feel?
I've had very conflicting feelings on Zach throughout the years.
Fair.
I kind of have this cycle with Bulls players where I feel like, especially a lot of the Bulls fan base is even more impatient than I am at times. And I think they'll be a little too hard on players often. So I'll kind of like initially start out defending guys. There's a large section of Bulls Twitter that hates Zach Levine and had from the onset.
Yeah.
And have done nothing but criticize and give him shit. And it's like sometimes we can be honest and say objectively he's a very good basketball player. That's just true.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, I don't know, the word philosophy makes it sound like I'm way smarter than I am. But like my own philosophy on basketball lately I might actually end up making some content about this at some point. But I think the relationship between playmaking and scoring is like, it's pretty essential to have both of them to some degree that's like
as
confident. Like
as the number one guy.
Well, I just mean in general, like to actually be that impactful of a player. Now, let's say you're on the other end of I'll say that impactful of an offensive player.
Right.
Like if you're on the other end of the floor doing great shit and then you can only score, you're still a positive player. And Zach is still overall a positive player, but like not as much as he could be if he could even play make as well as Bradley Beal can. And I think that goes both ways. That's why I've been John Stockton's biggest hater for my entire life, because I don't believe if you're not an aggressive scorer, or I do believe if you're not an aggressive scorer, your playmaking is not nearly that valuable.
Right.
And I think if you're an aggressive scorer who cannot playmaking, that aggressive scoring is not nearly as valuable. Because if you're aggressive scoring the ball, you're going to create opportunities for people. And if you know how to spot those opportunities, it makes scoring that much easier because you don't take a bunch of dumbass shots like Zach Levine does.
I think a part of it is finding ways to manipulate defense to make it easier for other guys, right?
Yeah.
To make life easier on your teammates. The greatest players of all time are guys who make life easier on their teammates. And yeah, Zach is a guy who doesn't necessarily have that area of the game down. I think the scoring is so incredible that you can bank on that being a part of a championship team, but not the part.
I'll even be honest about the scoring, though. I think it's like way more inconsistent. People give it ground board. Now, to be fair, he has also dealt with injury stuff consistently, which might be hampering him.
Yeah, like to get to the rim.
Right. But like, the guy loves to settle for jump shots at times. He'll have a game where he's going to the rim every possession.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, yes. Like, Zach LaVine can be one of the best slashers in basketball when he chooses to be, but he very often doesn't choose to be. And I know there was that whole thing years ago where there was some shit about Zach LaVine being told not to shoot mid-range shots. And then Kevin Durant was like, keep shooting him, Zach. And I'm like, respectfully, Kevin, Zach LaVine doesn't shoot 57% from mid-range. You do. Zach LaVine shoots 20% worse than that.
Yeah.
Don't take mid-range shots. Right. Go to the damn rim, please. I think he's probably like the 30th best player in the NBA. And I don't want that to be my best player. And with DeMar DeRozan, unfortunately, his playmaking feels like it kind of just stopped being as much of a thing. It was a huge thing in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But then the fact that he can't shoot threes, like that hinders offenses so much. Like there's no way around that problem.
They're going on to screens. They're doing all,
And like the big thing is that him and Zach have never been a positive while sharing the floor together. Like I imagine they overall were a positive very, very early on when everything was going well. But I think what the thing was, actually, they've never been a positive without Lonzo Ball.
Right.
And obviously, Lonzo Ball or part, yes.
All
he honestly one of the best definitions of a glue guy that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And he is definitely dearly missed.
Really sad, man. Every time his name comes up, I'm just like, man, I am sad.
And I'll be honest, like I here, I'll do the thing I just said I do. Bulls fan, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. If you told me 2 years from 30 games into the season before he got hurt, if you told me in 2 years he was an all-star, I would have believed you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he got up his scoring. I think he had a career-high year scoring. Well,
three-point shooting was incredible.
His three-point shooting was ludicrous. His last 2 years had already been good, but he was at, like, 8 attempts, 45%. And then him and Caruso, they showed that having your two best defenders being 6'4" guards can make a top 5 defense in the entire league. They were a top 5 defense because of those two. And then he got hurt, and then it's been pain ever since.
I know. I remember making that video just saying, like, the Chicago Bulls, they're doing something different on defense, and it's working. And that
I had to give credit to Billy Donovan because there's obviously a lot of Bulls fans that don't like him. I'm overall lukewarm on him, but he has done so much more with the defensive personnel that we have than anyone has any right to.
Right.
Like, he's made Nikola Vucevic genuinely a plus defender, which I think, there was a lot of talk about him when he got his contract extension. He was playing defense, and I think a lot of people said his contract was too much, and I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
I think $20 million is a perfectly reasonable amount of money for Vuce. When I saw the contract, I was like, I like that.
Especially in like 2 years, it's going up. $20 million is not
right. $20 million is the new 11.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a perfectly reasonable price, but I obviously don't want Vucevic back. I was like, perfect time, perfect amount of money he's easy to trade.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that AK's not trying to trade him. Like, that's not why he brought him back, was like, this would be good to start a rebuild. He get him for not lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
He just trying to run this shit back. And I think if you have just even an objective point of view on it, like, you got to be fucking delusional to make this team to the championship.
Yeah.
Especially after watching what Denver just did, man. Like, they looked unstoppable with a 7-man rotation.
Yeah. And the fact that they built their team so perfectly around their superstar is what just, I fell in love with that Nuggets team this year. I don't want to go on a tangent.
I don't love it.
I know. I need to have you on the pod again when we don't have makeshift recording devices and things like that in the Vegas filter. I gotta get you on the pod. Okay. Before you head out, okay, your top 5 albums.
Oh my God.
Yes, on the spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me.
No, I'm not gonna let you. No, just.
Well, I want to preface this with about like where my situation is in music taste.
Okay, I understand.
Because unfortunately, I grew up in a very like middle-class white suburb.
Yeah.
And really didn't even know the world very well until I went to college, which is a pretty experience.
Yeah.
But my dad liked dad rock.
Yeah.
So that was my first bit. I especially was really into Metallica and Rush.
Okay. Rush, Canadian.
I actually got super into Nirvana. So my first answer would be
Nirvana.
Never.
Okay, good.
Never Mind by Nirvana, I think, is the best album. Okay. All hits, no misses. It might not be my favorite, though. My favorite album of all time would be After Laughter by a Pair.
Okay.
When I was in middle school, I got super into punk music.
Yeah.
But obviously, After Laughter is not really the punk version of Paramore. As I got like 18, 20, I finally started expanding past just rock and punk rock, and like After Laughter is like almost like a album anyway.
Yeah, I would say that.
And like very 80s vibes.
Some little grooving off of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never listened to rap like ever. And
Okay.
Lately, I've been finally dipping my toes in it. And I have enjoyed a lot of it. So I'm trying to like gradually get there. So speaking of that, I'd say I guess the next album I put in there would be that Childish Gambino album. I don't even remember.
That is why I brought this up. Awaken My Love.
Yeah, man. Literally, Me and Your Mama, that song is all I can listen to right now. I've learned how to play it on drums, and it's all I can play.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's so fucking good. And like, I don't not to speak too illicitly here, but those of us who enjoy herb, I'll say. So it's a fun song to listen to while doing that.
Welcome to Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
no.
Right.
Okay, that's 3. Give me 2 more. Right.
You should have warned me about this.
That's why I didn't warn you.
You could have very easily put together a list. I have no idea.
On the spot is always better. I feel like throwing you on the spot.
Can I like scroll through this?
No. Give me 2 albums.
All right, this one probably is not top 5, but another album I super love is Wasting Light by the Foo Fighters.
Cool.
I am a big Foo Fighters person. That was the band that my dad was most into, so I, by association, got super into them. You grow up one of my top 5 favorite human beings that aren't anybody that I know personally. And then that album in particular, this is the only album they have where like I love every song.
Right.
So there's 4.
One more.
Yeah, sure. That's the greatest.
Yeah, give me greatest. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, greatest hits count. But Queen, fucking Queen.
Oh yeah, we got it best. Yes, I named my dog after Freddie Mercury. So
yeah, that entirely makes sense.
Yes, amazing person. Okay, look, ladies and gentlemen, Rusty Buckets. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. We'll get Alex in here for part 2.
Follow hosts at Just S Baraheni on all socials and at The Lauren Gunn on Twitter. The Objective Basketball Podcast, delivering the NBA to you like no other.